Good morning, everyone, from the music room at St. Charles. This video today is designed to help some of our older students who have the music theory workbooks that they are working in during our time off. And yesterday I Zoomed with some of the 7th graders who asked me some questions. And so today what I want to do is just take a couple minutes and address some of the pages that I feel like might be a little confusing. And the first one is inside of this beat rhythm test that I've asked you to complete, and it looked to me like the issues yesterday during our Zoom conference was on the second page. So let's just talk a little bit about what's happening on this second page of the beat rhythm test. The first section, letters A through J, are just about adding up notes. So what I want to talk about is some confusion about that a little bit. So the first one is number A, or letter A rather, is done, and it's the easiest one probably on the page to do, which is just 2 half notes, which equal 2 beats each, so 2 plus 2 equals 4. So when you supply the answer, you supply the answer also in musical notation and not in number value, okay? So let's look at a couple of them very quickly. Like letter E, which could be really confusing. Letter E, both of these are 16th notes, which are each worth 1/4 of a beat, okay? So a fourth plus a fourth is going to then equal a half, which gives us an eighth note, a single eighth note by itself, okay? Remember that a single eighth note is worth a half of a beat, and a single 16th note is worth a fourth of a beat, and that should clear a lot of things up for you, okay? Also remember, when you add a dot to any note, it adds half of the note's original value. So let's take, for example, a dotted half note. So if I have a half note, that's worth 2 beats by itself. We all know that. If I add a dot to it, half of the original value, half of 2 is 1, so I have to add another 1 beat to that note, and it becomes 3 notes, or becomes 3 beats of music now, okay? So a dotted half note is 3 beats, okay? So just remember, you're adding half the original value to a note, all right? And then you're supplying the answer in the form of another note, okay? And then the next section, same page, still in the beat rhythm test, the next section asks us to write the correct beat under the following rhythm patterns. And it shows those beats coming out in number form. And we're not really used to doing that too much, because that's something that more really of an instrumentalist uses than a vocalist uses. And we talk about music in the music room more as vocalists most of the time than instrumentalists. So let's just look at number 1 here. 4 over 4 times, so there's 4 beats in every measure. So under the first half note, there's the first 2 beats, second 2 beats. Under this whole note, we could actually write this because it gets all 4 beats, okay? Then we've got the same thing here with a whole rest, all 4 beats. Then we've got some eighth notes. So just a reminder of how you count these very quickly. This would be 1 and 2, 3, 4. And there's all 4 beats. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Okay? If we're looking at, let's take number 3 because it has a dotted note in it. Okay? So this quarter note, we're still in 4/4 time. This quarter note begins on beat number 1, okay? But it also lasts through the beginning of beat number 2. So we're not going to even write a number 2 here at all, actually. This would be 1, 2, and. So this would be an and. This is the and of 2. Okay, so all inside of this is 1E and a 2E, and then this is a half rest, so it is beats 3 and 4. I know that is confusing, but one more time. this dotted quarter starts on beat 1, but it carries into beat 2, okay, because it's worth 1.5 beats. So it carries into beat 2. This is the end of beat 2. This is the and. It would be like this and up here, like 2 and. This is the and of beat 2, and then 3, 4. Okay? So when you have a dot, again, I'm not going to do all this because this is your job and your work, but when you have a dot, sometimes that dot carries us into another beat. All right? We don't have to label numerically that beat. We just have to label the notes that are actually there. Okay? Same page again, bottom of that, we want to draw bar lines. This is probably the simplest, but be careful and watch your time signatures. You've got a 2-4 line, a 3-4 line, and a 4-4 line. So your each one of these lines has different amounts of beats in every measure. For example, in the first one, I'll help you out a little bit. In the first one, 2-4 here. Each one of these patterns is worth 1 beat and 1 beat. So you got to be careful that you know that after every 2 beats, you have to draw a line. Okay? Look, here's that dotted quarter note that we've been talking about again. Remember I said it gets us into beat 1 and 2, and this is the end of 2. Okay? So 2 beats, half note by itself worth 2 beats, 2 quarter notes, 2 beats, half rest, 2 beats, and at the end of a line, the curtain's kind of hanging here, but there's a double bar line, or you could even draw a double bar line at the end of the line, okay? So just remember, we're separating that, okay? All right. The next thing, real quickly for you, is on another page in the book. So let me just pull that up for you too, real quickly here. It's the sharps, flats, and naturals page, and it's you can read all about flats, sharps, and naturals at the top of the page. But this part A, one thing that we talked about in our Zoom conversation yesterday is it asks you to label the notes. Okay, so if I label, let's take this second note in the first line. It's on the C space, but there's a sharp in front of it, so it is C sharp. When I label a note, the letter comes first, the sharp, flat, or natural comes second, okay? And if it doesn't have a sharp, a flat, or a natural, you can just write the letter name, okay? But even if it has a natural, like some of these do towards the end of a line, here's E, okay? I want you to go ahead and write the natural sign. Be careful, the natural sign, if it's not written correctly, can end up looking a lot like the sharp sign. So make sure the natural sign is a little uneven in the way that it's written. One line is higher, one line is lower on each side. The lines don't extend. If the lines start extending, you end up with a symbol that looks more like a sharp. So be very careful about that, okay? If there is anything else confusing, please let me know. There are extra music theory workbooks in the lobby of our school, and you're welcome to pick them up anytime during our regular office hours if you need them. They're just on the table with a little orange sign that says music theory books. Please feel free to pick them up. And if you're having trouble, please email me personally, and we can have a Zoom conversation. And usually what happens is 2 or 3 people have the same question. So if that becomes the case, we can just create a Zoom conference, video conferencing like I did yesterday with some of you, and we'll try to work out the problem in a little bit bigger group situation. So I hope this video is helpful, and the reason I made a YouTube video versus a Zoom conversation is because you can go back and replay this video as many times as you need to now to get the help that you need. All right? But please feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you, and we will talk to you later.